Hello, my name is Janelle, and welcome to my Golden Year vlog, where I talk about the highs, lows, and joys, and everything in between of living my 26-year of life in my golden year. And usually I start these videos off with just highlighting my week and telling people what I am making. I'm currently in a fight with my serger. I've had to rethread it a couple of times. It's getting on my nerves. But I'm just trying to make a pair of rib neck black leggings. Here they are. I sew a little slow because I like to pin things, or I use my binder clips. And the pattern that I'm using is Simplicity 8561. It is old. I think it's about, actually it's not old. It's only 5 years old. But these leggings are great. This is my third time making them. I've made view D before. I'm making view D again because look at it. It has a little butt curve over it. Looks great. And it has pockets. I made view B before. I made it into like biker shorts. I was a little disappointed because they didn't have pockets, and I was mad at myself because I was like, Jonelle, you didn't notice that there weren't pockets in the line drawing. But they have like this weird like side split on this, like I don't have the line drawing, but they have that piece that made it look like there was pockets, and then I was like, whoops. So I'm making view D once again, and I'm making it a median because I thought that I could just zip through my serger, but because my serger don't want to act right, I'm using some of it on my regular machine to just put it together, and so I don't destroy my the clothes in the process while my serger is getting its shit together. But once I'm done with that, I think I'll have the confidence to sew more again. I've sort of been in a rut these past, like it took me 3 weeks just to cut out these leggings, and it's like 7 pieces, and it only takes about 3 hours to sew them if I'm just taking my time, which I like to do with sewing. I'm sort of a turtle, but it just helps me relax and focus on what I'm doing when my serger is getting it together. I have a couple of projects planned, but I don't have any pressing deadlines besides next March for BlurredCon, which is horror themed, and I thought about this like clown look. But I thought about this making an outfit for the grand opening for the Scraplet. I don't think I'll make it in time though. It's like a 2-piece set, and it's really cute, but I also am just like giving myself grace because this is a very busy time right now and there's just a lot going on. So if I do have a handmade outfit or a me-made outfit at the grand opening, I would love that. If not, Hakuna Matata. And that's what's sewing on at my sewing table. I actually had a lot of thoughts about today's video because I like to look at other crafters and see what they're doing and, you know, their videos, and like I sometimes wonder about people's like boundaries, like where they draw the line. All right, and I say this because I know there are certain things that happen that people have like a hard no about. Like a lot of people do not shop at Hobby Lobby. And then there are a lot of influencers in the sewing world who do shop at Hobby Lobby. And when I see a video and someone's like, I got this from Hobby Lobby, it for me it is bombastic side eye, because I was like, what do you mean? And like, I did grow up as someone who was a very like, I was an absolutist for real. Like if I was like, it has to be this one way because if you deviate from that, you're wrong or whatever. But now that I'm older, I am getting better at being like, okay, you know, there's nuance, there's gray areas. And I wondered about that, like with Hobby Lobby, for example, because I remember it seemed like a lot of people did not like Hobby Lobby. And I read an article to refresh myself on why we don't like Hobby Lobby. If you don't know, it is because they denied access to contraception through their employer provided health insurance, because they said that contraceptions cause abortion and that's against God. They've lobbied for the study of the Bible in school districts. They've smuggled biblical artifacts, both real and unreal, to have their Museum of Bible. Like, there's a lot of controversy around Hobby Lobby that involves a lot of Christianity. And, people are like, we're not rocking with that. Also, they tried to stay open throughout the COVID-19 pandemic when there was a shutdown, because they said they were essential business. And, when they did have to shut down, they were like, oh, it's what the employees wanted. And it was just a very nasty attitude towards their employees, like the people who make them money. And with that, I'm the type of person where if you give me a sound object to not support a business, especially a big box retailer, I'm not going to do it. And I have been inside of Hobby Lobby. I've looked around because, the fashion merchandiser in me is always going to go and see how do people display their items, even if it's enemy lines. But my cold hard dollars, I haven't spent any at Hobby Lobby. And I don't plan on doing that. I would rather 3D print whatever Hobby Lobby got and make it myself than support them. And I mean, they do have a lot of stuff in that store. It is a lobby of hobbies, but it's also like, I have options, and I'm not gonna push people to go like online to buy things, because I recognize, like, not everyone's able to shop online for things. Like, you have to wait for it to come and things like that. But also, it's like, I feel like there's a certain level of privilege that you have to where you can say no to these big brands. Like, I'm looking at these sewing influencers who have a huge following, who get their platform is sewing it, and like, with that, you're making money off of this. And some people are like, I'm not saying the name of this company because they're not paying me to say their name. Okay, fine. But for those who do drop Hobby Lobby and just unashamed say that they went to Hobby Lobby, is a little bit like, it's a turn off for me for the that influencer. And I'm not gonna name any names, like, but first of all, there's too many to name. Like, if you are following me because you like sewing influencers, then you know who I'm talking about. Like, it's not like it's just one sewing influencer. It's multiple who'll say, oh, I went to Hobby Lobby, and they just casually drop it. And some of them are like in major cities like Atlanta, where there are several options to shop for fabrics. And if people don't like Hobby Lobby, all right, some people don't like Joann's either. And Joann's has its own host of issues, especially like, before they filed bankruptcy, people said they gave us a lot of attitudes from sales associates. The stores weren't organized, they weren't clean. That's another reason to not like Joann's. And then on the other side, some people didn't like that Joann's give $5,000 gift cards to African American fiber artists during the blackening in 2020, and they haven't done it since. And they had so many stipulations with that. Like, I see what Joann's was trying to do, but that is why some people don't shop at Joann's. And who am I to say, well, at least Joann's is trying. They're open on Sundays. They had a Black History Month collection. Like, I have my own reasons to shop at Joann's, which I actually don't really do. Like, that sort of, I guess that flows into my other qualm that I've had, is that, so when we talk about shopping at these places and we talk about like these haul videos and what we got and, you know, why we just had to go to this store that is on record for like, you know, being terrible to their employees. And it's like people are spending like, you know, $30, $40, $100 on fabric at this place. Like, you know, they're not just going in for a zipper because they needed a zipper at a moment. They're like buying things, like consuming a lot of the materials at that place. It's like, you know, that is, you're showing clear support for it, because not only did you show that you bought all these things from there, you're name dropping them in your video. And I know we got to get our coins. Like, there are people who are actual affiliates of Joann's, and that's why they name drop so much. But then there's other people, and they're like, I just want to show you where I got it from. And I know it's not gatekeeping, and I appreciate people for saying where they got things from. But I'm also the type of person where you say you got it from Hobby Lobby, I'm not going to get it. To me, they're like, as much as I love strawberry fabric, as much as I love gothic romance, or whatever the thing that I'm into that day, and like, that is not enough to push me to go to support Hobby Lobby. I won't. I won't. And I just wonder, like, you know, will people like actually stand on business when it comes to their dollars and who and what they support? And also, like, I know that earlier this year I said that I was grounded from buying fabric, and that was in April, and I said I was grounded until I sold a certain number of projects, and I realized I didn't sell that number of projects, and then I went to a fabric swap and got fabric, but I didn't buy it. But I'm still like Jonelle, you know, like a puppy, tail between my legs, like, no fabric until I've sewn through this amount. And also, now that I'm doing the 30-yard challenge, I'm like, okay, now you really gotta get through 30 yards. And, you know, I think in April I said I couldn't buy it for 6 months, and then I goofed in May, so can't buy any fabric until November. Fine. Fine, I'll do it. It's a challenge, already the year's challenge, but also it's encouraging me to be thoughtful about my consumption and what I do have with me. And I have enough in these bins to make the wardrobe that I need or want, and the gifts that I want for people. Like, you know, one of my friends, they're working on a cosplay and they have to buy fabric for that, but I'm encouraging them ways to like thrift that fabric and figure out like what exactly do they need and what can we work with what we got here, before we just go and just buy all this brand new stuff and just consume and consume and consume. I would like for other sewing influencers and YouTubers to just keep that same energy, because there was one influencer who inspired me to go on my no buy challenge, because they went on a no buy challenge. And then it felt like less than a month later, they're buying. And I was scrolling through my YouTube and I saw that they had another haul video. And I'm just like, you know, I have respect for them. I love what they make. I love their designs and everything, and we have like similar like body types, so I'm really looking to them for inspiration. But I'm like, not only are you buying, you're buying from Hobby Lobby, like, you're hauling from Hobby Lobby. Like, it, to me, it's just like, and then, you know, maybe who am I to talk to this person about it? Like, they don't know me, we're not friends, you know. If I commented on her video, she could block me. She could call me a hater. And I wouldn't even be mad at that, for her calling me a hater or blocking me, because it's like, yeah, who am I to be like, girl, you said you were doing this, you said you were doing that. Now me on this, on my hand, on this page, yeah, my listeners, my wonderful subscribers who keep coming back every week, y'all can call me out. Y'all can say, Jonelle, what about those leggings that you said you're making at the end of August? Like, honestly, if I don't make these leggings by like next week, like, yeah, call me out. I when I got some fabric from the fabric swap, my friend called me out. She was like, "Girl, I remember your video. You said you weren't buying fabric," and I was like, "Oh, oh, that's accountability." And I know not everyone is in this space for it. Like, I feel like the only way I can get better as a person is if I am held accountable and if people talk to me about it. Even with my like employees, sometimes people ask me like, Janelle, what about this thing? And yeah, I look like a deer in headlights that time because I don't have that thing, and I did say I have that thing. Then I do the thing. that's the point. And like with some of these influencers, as I watch their videos, I don't think that they'll ever hold themselves accountable and think about what they're doing. I am serious about thrifting my fabric, thrifting my clothes, and there are some things I do buy new. Like this t-shirt, I bought it new because I was like, a black woman that makes t-shirts featuring pinups, you got me. And unless you sold it in patches or iron-on, SVG or whatever, I'm just gonna buy the shirt and support you because I love what you're doing. And that's sort of how I shop. When I shop, sometimes I do have to go to the big box retailer. Like, for example, my garden, I buy things for my garden, and there's like close to me, there are garden stores, but like the black owned businesses that sell things for gardening are more like for houseplants in Atlanta. Now there are black homesteads and farms that I will make it a point to support as I'm planning my next season. And there's black owned seed stores online that I found after my initial foray with these like big box retailers. But that comes with the research and figuring out who sells what. So for example, seeds, we look at the big box retailer and we're like, okay, cool, yeah, they sell seeds here. But then you don't think like, is there a black owned seed company? And then that's how you go down the rabbit hole to find the black owned. And like, when you shop small, the more money goes into the owner's pockets. And that goes back to voting with your dollars. And I say this about like Hobby Lobby because, they are known to be devout evangelical Christians. And that is what they stand on. That's why they're closed on Sundays. That's why they don't have Halloween things. And people who shop there know that. And they vote with their dollars to be like, okay, I like this place. I like what they say. And you might not think it because you're like, I'm just one customer. But you influence other people to shop. When you say, oh, I got this from Hobby Lobby. Because Hobby Lobby has home decor just like Joann's and a lot of these places. So, I know people who shop at Hobby Lobby just for their home decor. So it's like you're building support around this brand. And like on the macro level and the micro level. So for example, with Scraplanta, we get people who like to shop with us because they value sustainability, they value thrift stores, they value me as a black woman doing this thing. They value us being small. Like some people have told us they don't want us to get too big. They don't want us to be like Goodwill. They like, and at times I'm like, whoa, why can't we grow? But I also understand the implications that come with corporate. And people like that they're able to interact with the person in charge at the register. that sometimes they'll come up with the donation and I'm the one taking the donation and weighing it, or they call and I'm the one answering the phone when it's a store phone. Those things, I understand why people value them. And those people who value like the smaller businesses and more sustainable things, they're vocal about it the same way other people are vocal about how they support Chick-fil-A, because it's a good Christian company and they appreciate that they're closed on Sundays. And like, it's like there are signs that tell you to stay away from these companies if you do not fit what they want from you. I grew up in the era of Abercrombie & Fitch and Hollister. I never shopped there. I never worked there. My aunt, who was like 8 years older than me, said that she worked there, and it was a hostile environment for her. And she's a Black woman. They made a hostile environment for her, and they wouldn't let her work like near the front of the store. And then the CEO of this company says that he doesn't want Black people, fat people, and poor people wearing his clothes. He doesn't make those clothes for those people. He doesn't make his clothes for ugly people. He said that. He said it, and he said it multiple times, and he built a company around that. And that was a time, the 2000 tweens was a dark time where we allowed CEOs to say that. Like, even Victoria's Secret, back when it was owned by L Brands, and their CEO was mad about Rihanna's Fenty getting popular because he was like, Victoria's Secret Angels, that's a fantasy, and I'm selling a fantasy, and fantasies aren't plus size. Like, we have CEOs saying that, and what we don't realize is how powerful our dollar is. Like, when Abercrombie guy said that, we was big mad. We stopped shopping there. Victoria's Secret, we was big mad. We stopped shopping there, and we went to go see options. Like, we went to go get underwear that fit us, that wasn't made with harsh chemicals, that was made for plus size bodies, that wasn't gonna cut up everything under the waistline just to look cute. We did that. We went to Aerie, where Aerie doubled down and stood on business and said, hey, look, we're about body positivity. And people were like, oh, that's not positive enough for us. Aerie was like, okay, bet. Let's do something more inclusive. Like, we said plus size, and you're like, no, show us actual plus size. Show us stretch marks. Show us surgery scars. Show us dark skin. Show us darker skin than dark skin, because you know what? Back in the day, they used to consider me dark skin. Like, I remember reading 17 magazine. They had 3 skin options: fair, olive, and deep. And I had to go in the deep section to somewhat figure out what they meant by that. Like, and for some reason they acted like we were only 3 skin tones, and that was it for us for a long time. But when we opened our mouths and said, no, it's not just fair, olive, and deep, or medium, or whatever, like, we're so much more. And your standard for nude doesn't include a lot of skin tones. We even spoke up about things like our hair. The fact that, we, in my lifetime, not just my lifetime, but my adulthood, they had to pass the Crown Act, so that I wouldn't get discriminated against for my job. Like, that was an actual valid basis of discrimination for me to get my job, because of how my hair grows out of my head. Deep breath. We did that. We voted with our dollars. We stopped supporting perms. And the natural hair care industry has blossomed in my 11 years of having natural hair. Like, the options that I had when I first went natural versus now, let's go to the Dollar General, and they had Aunt Jackie's, and they still have Aunt Jackie's, and she done improved that recipe since I started like 13 years ago. Because that recipe, ooh, like my hair used to, ugh. But now there's not just Aunt Jackie's and Dollar General. Like, and it's like, you know, we used to think, oh, we can only get Shea Moisture or Miss Jessie's curls. No, we have options. We have the Dew. We have, why am I blanking? Like, you know, we have curls, Miel Organics, the main choice. Like Talia Wajid, one of the biggest names in natural hair care, has her natural hair care expo with over like 70 natural hair brands. And like, they're small, some of them are small, mom and pop, like just a woman who had alopecia and was like, I figured out for myself, let me sell this, to like bigger brands who have like whole warehouses and distributions in Target and Walmart. Like, we have options now because, once again, we voted with our dollars and said, we're tired of brands telling us how we're supposed to look, how we're supposed to just take whatever they give us. And that is why I guess I'm so passionate about this, because I'm like, you know, with Hobby Lobby, like, they've tripled down on their efforts to arrest their employees and also to smuggle in fake biblical artifacts. It's really weird, but hey, bro, that's their life. And I don't have to consume and support that. And even like, you know, with Joann's, I don't have to go to Joann's. I can go to my local creative reuse center. I can go to Scrapland. I can also go online and find retailers who sell secondhand art supplies or sustainable art supplies. Like, I could buy new, and I don't have to buy things that are made from polyester and nylon and those things. Like, I can go online, find me a good little linen, a cotton, something made with natural fibers. I can do that. I can even look up things that are made with like water solvent eco dyes, so I'm not putting harmful dyes close to my body on my epidermis. Those are options, and we have those. And that is why I started my Eco Afro blog a long time ago that I haven't really worked on, but I did it because I wanted to support and highlight conscious consumption and empower the consumer to know what we have. Because, you know, sometimes we feel like we don't have options. Like, we go to the store and we see Tide, Gain, and, you know, whatever else is the big detergent names. And for the longest, that's all we shopped because that's all we knew. Then, you know, people started reporting like issues of breaking out from the detergent, and, you know, people started to listen to that and they said, okay, well, I made this detergent that doesn't break you out. Let me manufacture it. Then they started selling it online. They got enough traction, now they're in stores. Or if they're not in stores, they have a better, you know, way of getting it to the people. Like, the movement around more eco-friendly materials and formulas, it's growing. And I would love to have a conversation with anybody about what they can do to improve their consumption. And also, like, I recognize that we're being gaslit on so many levels. Like, at times, you know, we talk about how, for example, it pains me to say this because this is a Black-owned business, and I love to see Black-owned businesses thrive. But this is something that gave me so much cognitive dissonance that I had to really just watch as this company got really big. And then I sort of waited for somebody else to say it because I'm like, what? So, for example, there's a brand called the Honey Pot, and they have organic pads and tampons and also washes. And it's the, making sure you smell good down there and all those things. But I was like, how does this work when we're already told that we're not supposed to use soap down there because it messes up our pH and causes infections? And but people kept buying it, and people kept hyping her up because she's a Black woman and she's doing big things. But I'm just like, but we, like, there's so much around, smelling good down there that we could talk about. But, especially like as Black women, we're already shown as being like dirty, and, we don't, like, just there's just so much stigma around Black women smelling good and everything. And so it's like we finally have fought that, and then here comes this company that's blowing up, making all this money because they're making these washes to tell, like, yeah, you shouldn't smell like that. You should smell like mint or eucalyptus, and if you don't smell like that, then you need to buy our products. And also, like, Black women, we have higher rates of cervical and ovarian cancer. We do, because of, like, the talcum powder that we put in baby powder in between our legs because we're told we smell and things like that. And so we're trying to feel fresh. And that has been linked to cervical cancer. And other environmental factors, like, there's such things as environmental racism, like how our houses are built near industrial waste plants and all the pollution, the lack of, like, trees in our neighborhoods that capture all the carbon and pollutants in our air. Like, so many factors cause cancer, higher rates of cancer in Black women. And here we are, finally going off that curve. We're going natural, drinking juices, we're trying to get better about our health. And, here comes this brand that, they label themselves as organic. They're using natural materials to make sure that you smell good down there. Like, it's just, we're being gaslit by these companies. And I hate that we're experiencing that. Like, when as a collective, we don't say, hey, that's nice that she used organic cotton in those pads and tampons, but it's not nice that she sells those washes and promotes this unsafe, like, practice of, subjecting ourselves to infections for this wash. It's like, we all were upset and up in arms about Hobby Lobby denying contraception to their employees, but then the next week it's like, oh, they released this cute Christmas ornament, or this, we're going to ignore it because they have anime merch, so we're just going to go back to acting like that didn't happen. We're going to pretend that, Chick-fil-A did not invest in these camps that contributed to the marginalization and oppression of our queer youth. Like, we're just going to pretend that didn't happen because look what they got. They got a chicken sandwich. Like, it is frustrating to watch at times because I'm looking around. I'm like, did this really happen? Is this really happening right now? My last thing that I'm going to talk about tonight, and I feel like it all just waterfalls so perfectly. Like, I had my notes in my head about what I'm going to talk about today. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was COVID. We're 4 years into a pandemic, or you can say 5, because they knew about COVID in China since November 2019, but it feels like in the beginning, in March 2020, they said, wear a mask and you'll be okay. And all these people got together, they made masks, they gave it out to neighborhoods, hospitals, everything. We stayed inside and waited for further instruction. They made Fauci feel like he was dumb, like we're touting science and saying, okay, we've learned 6 foot apart, there was things online saying drink hot liquids, things saying drink cold liquids. You know, a year into it, we got the vaccine, and we finally felt like it was okay to go outside and be safe. And then there were some places where they still encouraged and required you to wear a mask. And I continued to wear a mask when I was working retail up and through pretty much earlier this year. Then I stopped for a minute because I was like, maybe I am safe. Then I went online and I saw people talking about having long COVID, the symptoms that they had with that. I heard people talk about how they had just chronic illnesses and they felt safer in places where people masked. Or, you know, if they saw other people masking, they felt respected, because when people weren't, they felt like they felt invincible. And so this past week, I ordered some KN95s and I just started wearing a mask. And I had a little bit of worry about it because I do work a customer facing role and people have seen me with a mask and without a mask. And, you know, the fact that I'm going back to it, I didn't know what type of conversations it would invite. Because like last summer I was wearing a mask and someone was like, do you know something I don't know? And I was like, I know COVID still exists. That's why I'm wearing my mask. And, you know, I've had employees who've masked their entire time working with me and others who wear it only when they're sick. And like, I don't require it because of the controversies that's happened. Like here in Georgia, at a grocery store that my grandma frequently shops at, someone shot another person because they made a comment about, you know, telling them to put on a mask. And I know it's a one-time thing that happened, but also the things that I faced in North Carolina, I personally just feel like the anxiety of requiring masks in my retail store would stress everyone out more than it would like help us. So, but I knew that if I wear a mask, it does influence people's like decisions and thought making. Like I was wearing one this weekend and people were like, oh, Janelle, you're wearing a mask. What's going on? Like, why are you doing that? Are you sick? And I'm like, I'm not sick. I'm sick of the government telling us that everything's fine when it's not. But I'm like, just wear my mask. You know? Out of respect for my immunocompromised folks, out of respect for my family, like, you know, there are things I do with my family without a mask. And I want to make sure that I'm not giving them anything. Like, I have relatives that are getting older. I see them a lot. And out of love and respect for them, let me just put on a mask. And I've already been the queen of social distancing. I'm like, don't touch me. Yeah, 6 feet. But, you know, there's other things you can do. Like, but I had to learn this, like, online and through research. I don't understand why the government did not ship us air purifiers and xylitol. Just those things. I had to learn online that, you know, things that you can do to make it safer, like the air purifiers and like, you know, spraying a nasal spray, like the xylitol helps reduce the viral load if you are exposed, because of course, the higher the viral load, the worse your infection is. And, you know, the more likely you are to have long COVID, which is something that we don't talk about. We have to just go online and look for things. And I feel failed by a government. I feel gaslit because they're acting like this isn't happening. Someone mentioned that the Democratic National Convention was essentially a super spreader event. Like, you know, nobody had on a mask. All these people were there, and you know, we're talking about how great our nation is and how great we're going to be, but people weren't wearing masks. And me personally, and going back to wearing it in public, the majority of the time, and I'm gonna stick to it. Even like there's a vaccine coming out next month, you know, new vaccine just dropped, woo woo woo. But even after that, like, I told myself, I just don't know when I see myself not wearing a mask and not thinking about it. Like, you know, I'm constantly thinking about it, constantly, and I feel less anxious when I wear it, knowing that I can do what I did. And if I still get sick, you know, some people are gonna be like, oh, you can still get sick with a mask. Yeah, but you can get super sick without one. How about that? Wearing a mask and getting sick, you know, it happens. You get a vaccine, you still get sick. But if we do our part to take care of ourselves and we communicate that to others, I think there's more important than that, just pretending that this isn't happening. So I say that just to, you know, if you were thinking about going back to masking, or you never wore one in the first place, but you wanted to, you should do it. Get you a KN95. And I do sew mask, but I am getting to the point where I was like, I'd rather, you know, wear the face mask, like the sewn mask over my KN95, because I want actual, like, you know, better protection. And I've done pretty well throughout this pandemic with my cotton face mask, but I'm like, let's just get that KN95. And if you're worried about it, worried about somebody saying something, only thing somebody's gonna say to you is, good job. So thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. I'll talk to y'all next week. Have a wonderful end of August, and we'll go into September.